Welcome to Don't Repeat What Mommy Says. I'm Jennifer, and this is my daughter Lauren. And we don't repeat what Mommy says because she's inappropriate sometimes.
Yep. Today we are talking all things, I think, social media.
Social media. You have anything?
So we've talked about a few of the mom groups in the past. So there are some really good mom groups on social media. Jeez. There are
A
some
lot of
really good
bad
mom.
babies.
Yeah, bad baby
Hi,
today.
baby.
There are some really good social media mom groups. Places for good support. One we've mentioned a few times, the Moms Managing Network. We like them. There's a
But
couple
that's
other.
not to say that people do not say dumb shit in there.
Yeah, I mean, much love to them. They do their best. Like
But it's
the
real
moderators,
moms and real people.
it's real moms, real people. There is some stuff we just don't agree with, and some stuff that I would say is kind of just dumb. Um, that's going to be anywhere, but they do a pretty good job of weeding out a lot of the stupid and a lot of the negativity, I think, that ends up being in some of the mom groups. Um, so their network has a bunch of like groups within the moms managing sphere. So they've got Madness, which is like their all topic. That's your typical like what you would expect of a mom group. They've got Money, which is finances, budgeting. They've
Not for
got
me,
not for you. Um,
because I just spend my money. I don't care.
they've got Movement for working out, health and fitness.
I was going to do
That
the
is her
muscles.
jam.
That is my jam.
Meals,
Not my jam.
not her jam. But Meals is a group that I moderate for the Moms Managing Network. So, like, full disclosure, I'm pretty biased. I do moderate for Moms Managing. Um, Meals is, recipes, meal planning, introducing solids, toddler crap, feeding babies, all that jazz. Marriage, which,
That's my jam. I've been married a long time.
yeah, and we talk a lot about marriage on the show. The marriage group they have, you're always going to see something in I think, a marriage based group that you're not going to agree with. You're going to see people kind of jumping on the bandwagon. They do a relatively good job. Like, the point of the group is they encourage working on your marriage, sticking to your vows, your commitment to your spouse, and finding ways to work through things. So, if you post there about a problem, you're not going to have everybody just telling you to divorce him, leave him, whatever. That's not the focus. So,
Here's the thing, like I hear this a lot, and it's a woman thing. Men don't really do this, but they're like, I'm not happy. I'm gonna leave, or I resent him, or whatever. You get to decide what mood you're gonna be in when you wake up. So if you're not happy, it's because you decided to wake up unhappy. Okay. So if you're not happy with your husband, you're not going to be happy with Joe Blow down the street. I don't care what he looks like with a shirt off. Okay? So this is why I'm so passionate about marriage, because I think in this day and age, I just keep seeing on social media constantly ripping on men. Like if you go through Facebook, which I'm old, so I'm on Facebook, right? Like every other friggin' post I read or meme or whatever is about how this man didn't support his wife and his wife is doing everything. Bullshit, she's not doing everything. Not every man is a narcissist. I mean, for God's sake, ladies, if your dynamic in your marriage sucks, you were part of it. So probably figure out what you're doing too instead of just rip it. I mean, like I said, on social media, you would think that like everybody is married to a gargantuan butthole. And every woman is just this poor little victim of circumstances because of this butthole man. Like, I thought we came a long way, baby. I thought that we could handle our own shit.
yeah. So, uh, we've said it before, like, be careful of the kind of places where you're putting that shit out, because you're going to have good groups that are supportive of working through your shit, and you're going to have ones that aren't. And they're going to support you know,
The
I'm
thing
bored,
is,
so I want a divorce.
if you're in a bad place, and there's nothing wrong with being in a bad place and expressing to other people that you're unhappy and all of that, okay? Like that is going to happen in a marriage, just like it will. And if you were not married and it was just you, yourself, and you know, you're going to have days that are just a struggle. Well, marriage is the same way, and it's okay to get in a poopy place. It happens. And it's good to express that, but what you don't need is people piling on so that your resentment builds and builds rather than, like, I don't want to be stereotypical, but as women, we are kind of emotional, like, because we got, like, all kinds of hormonal things in different aspects of life. Definitely after you have a baby, definitely when you start getting old. I mean, I just called some guy a ginger snatch the other day, and I'm pretty sure, was it yesterday?
That was yesterday.
Because he had the audacity to walk in the outdoor and he almost touched me. It just really offended me. I'm fairly certain that I was not emotionally grounded in that moment because I feel like that might have been an overreaction and I was kind of a bitch. You know, my husband wouldn't do something like that because men don't really do stuff like that, you know? So as women, sometimes we do, like, emotions will change over time. Sometimes you just have to take it down a notch. Like, you need somebody to be like, yeah, you have every right to feel like, screw this, I'm not happy. However, like, maybe you should meditate today and think about them. Maybe today's not the day to talk to your husband. Maybe write some things down and talk to him tomorrow. You know what I mean? And then your attitude might change and you might find that it's really not as serious as you thought it was. Maybe it is that serious. I don't know. But a lot of times I think it isn't. I think it's a bad day.
Yeah. So.
Or a bad week. Maybe even a bad year.
I feel like I'm going to put a tangent timer on this video.
I'm just saying, I've been married for a really long time, and I understand, like, if you've only been married for a couple of years, it feels like you're going to sit in that shit forever, but I promise you're not. Like, if your husband's a halfway decent guy, like, maybe he has some issues that he needs to work through. Maybe, you know, maybe that's something you need to touch on. But just because he has some flaws doesn't mean he's, like, a narcissist whose, like, sole goal is to make you miserable.
Yeah, and so on the vein of social media groups, I saw somebody talking about their therapist basically telling them some really shit advice, and I'm not even going to say what the advice was because it was just garbage. So we've talked about that before, how we're not super big fans of therapy because I think a bad therapist can do a lot of damage. And that woman's therapist was giving her such
Shit advice.
It was incredibly selfish, like advising her to act in a way that is incredibly selfish. And ultimately, I think what that therapist did caused issues in her marriage. So another thing with social media, a lot of people are on the therapy bandwagon, and I don't necessarily agree.
I don't agree at all. I wouldn't go to therapy. I just wouldn't. And I'm not trying to poop on anybody whose therapy has helped them. However, I think that maybe we as people could do some introspection. Like, when you're upset with a situation, instead of focusing on what your husband did, what your kids did, what this person did, what your friend did, whatever, you can focus on, like, what was my role in this dynamic? And then you can change that, because ultimately the only thing you can change is yourself. So I think in this day and age, with everybody validating every freaking feeling that they have, and every feeling must be validated, that people think that they are entitled to have everything they want from another human being. You will not get that from anybody, not your parents, not your kids, not your spouse, not your friends, not your coworkers. You're just not you don't get to have everything you want. So, if somebody is acting in a way that is making you not like a situation, what can you do in that situation to change the situation? That's the only thing you can change.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That had nothing to do with social media.
Not at all. But social media, like, tells people to be selfish. Somebody actually told me the other day, because they were talking, there was a thing in some group, I don't know what the hell group it was. It wasn't one of the mom groups. But it was like, why aren't people staying married today like they did when our grandparents, you know, like our grandparents did? And somebody was like, well, because there was a stigma on divorce and this and that. So you don't know that they were happy. And I said, well, okay, happiness is not the gold standard because sometimes you're going to be happy and sometimes you're not. And there should be a stigma on it. You made vows. And then they said, so you think that you should just stay around being unhappy when you know you can be happy with somebody else? I'm like, look, there are legitimate reasons to divorce, and people who watch the show know I have been divorced, and I don't regret it. It was a necessary thing. You know, there was no fidelity, there was abuse, there was drug addiction, all kinds of things that were detrimental to my child. Okay, I think, or I know I can be happy with this other person is not a reason to divorce. And if you divorce for that reason, what kind of a partner are you for the next person? You just already proved that you do not value any promise that you make. So you're kind of a jerk. I wouldn't marry that person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you left somebody because you weren't happy, like ever? You were never happy? Or you just got a little bored? Because let me tell you what, marriage, real friggin' boring most of the time.
Yeah.
It just is. You're going to work, you're paying bills, you're raising kids. It can get real humdrum real friggin' fast, you know? But guess what? If you're not married, life's real friggin' boring most of the time. It's mundane. You go to work, you pay bills. If you have kids, now you're raising a kid, you know, by yourself. So, still boring most of the time. That's life, my friends. It's not excitement every minute of the day where you hear bluebirds singing in the background and love is in the air. It's just not the way it is. That's the honeymoon phase. It's called a phase because it fizzles out. It comes back and then it fizzles out again. And then it comes back and it fizzles out again. That's the way it goes. But you know what? A meaningful marriage, like my husband and I will be celebrating 29 years this year, pretty soon. And like we have been through natural disasters together, 2 floods, you know, that were really traumatic. And I will never forget, like, our kids were little at the time, and it was very traumatic. We had to flee our home with the dog. He was at work when it happened, so it was just me with the kids and the dog trying to walk through, you know, flood water and everything. And I was very upset that night and everything. We ended up going to his cousin's house, and he hugged me and he was like, you know what? As long as you and I are together, we're home. Those are the moments that you live for, because that was the thing that got me through that day. I was really pretty distraught. You know what I mean? When you have a marriage, you have that with somebody. You know, when you're feeling really down, you have that person. They're your person, and sometimes your person is a butthole. But they're still your person, and you still love them. Just like sometimes your kids suck, but you still love them, right?
Yeah. I mean, you
Yeah.
can't just get rid of your kids because you're not in the mood. I mean,
Right. I
I
wasn't
suppose,
happy the whole teenage years.
yeah.
I didn't kick my kids out. I didn't leave them for another kid that would make me happier.
Yeah. Um,
What else on social media?
I was gonna say, at this rate, it's not social media anymore. um,
That just really stuck in my craw the other day when that person, I know I can be happy with somebody else. I'm like, sweetie, you're not even happy with yourself. You're not going to be happy with anybody. Like, just whatever. Probably go live in a basement somewhere, you troll.
yeah. So, I mean, social media groups, they can be good, they can be bad. There are good ones. I know there's quite a few good ones for like the littler years too. So, like, we talked about moms managing. I don't remember which groups we've mentioned at this point. But they do have one, the milk group, which is about like nursing, formula feeding, all sorts of questions about that. There's another group that's really good, Baby Wearing 101. if you're interested in baby wearing, they do a really good job of like offering advice on like how to
Do you,
safely do it.
do you remember when Paige got the Bobo wrap?
No, I don't.
Oh my God. So somebody, Aunt Heather gave her Bobo wrap because she really wanted one when she had Aaliyah. And we could not figure out how to get it on. And she was living with me at the time, you know. So anyway, we like YouTubed it and tried real hard, and no, that baby wouldn't have been safe in that baby wrap, so we never figured it out. So when Lauren was pregnant with Henry, I was like, God, don't get the Bobo wrap. It'll be horrible. Well, she figured it out, and she loves it, so.
Yeah, I've actually had two boba wraps at this point. Um, I would have used the first one again with Ava, but it got peed on by a cat and I couldn't clean it. 'Cause that's my life. Uh, there's a reason we will never do an episode about pets. We're gonna be so
No.
canceled.
Yeah,
Uh,
people love their pets, and God love you people that have the patience for that shit.
I love pets when I don't have to take care of them.
We have so many pets in our house at this point because, again, like I've told you guys, my elderly parents live with us, so we had our own pets, and then they brought their pets, and I think I would be a shitty child if I didn't let them have their pets because for elderly people, their pets are like children to them, companions. Like my parents love their pets. Their pets drive me effing crazy, but I'm trying real hard here.
Yeah, so I had two boba wraps. With Ava, I got some more wraps. I got I think, I don't
A
remember the
woven
brand.
wrap.
I did get a woven wrap. I got a Lenny Lamb.
Yeah,
I
that one's
can't,
pretty.
I can't remember the name of the wrap, but it's like a beautiful woven wrap. I haven't been able to use it a single time with Ava because she's such a stiff baby that I can't pull the wrap under her to make a proper seat for her to stay in it. So maybe someday I'll get to use my woven wrap. And then
Well,
I've
you
got
do
another
plan on
stretchy
having
wrap.
another one.
Yeah. And woven wraps are cool because there's no weight limit on a woven wrap. I saw some lady talking about it 'cause somebody had asked, like, what's the weight limit? And I think it was in that baby wearing group. Um, and she had her friend, like a grown adult woman, in the boba wrap, or in the boba wrap, in the woven wrap, like on her back. She's like, there's no weight limit on woven wraps. So, kind of cool. I don't really plan on backpacking with a grown adult on me, but
If you were going to, though, hey,
hey, in
if
a
you
pinch,
do go
though,
backpacking, bring that woven wrap. Just in
in,
case someone breaks a leg, you can carry them off that mountain.
right, in an emergency. Woven wraps, man. I also probably should have gotten a size or two smaller because there's kind of like a cumbersome amount of fabric on the one I bought. But
It's really pretty, though. Like the woven wraps are pretty. So, I mean, you can be fashionable and wear your baby. That's
yeah.
fun.
Um, let's see. Other social media crap. I can't really think of any groups off the top of my head. Like those are some ones that are like helpful. I know there's like the car seat groups, and I'm not gonna
Why
get
do
into
we,
that.
can we talk about dumb shit on social media?
Yeah, I think we're gonna segue into dumb shit on social media. So there are groups on social media. You know, take that with a grain of salt.
Well, the thing about them, just remember, like, even if it's a good group, it is just real moms on there, and you never know what space they're in. So they might, you might have a day where somebody's not so supportive, or you know what I
Well,
mean. Maybe they're in a bad space too. So just remember that it's a group. So
well, and so some of the groups on there, you're gonna see really ridiculous things in, because some groups don't really like prevent unsafe advice. And I know like some of the standards of safety have changed, but some things are just common sense. And that's kind of where the stigma of like the mom group on social media comes from, is because of people being like, you know, my kid has tuberculosis and I've been trying to heal it with frankincense. Like that's a wild example that I've never seen a post that actually said that, but like that's the stigma with the mom groups, is you put something in there and you get like 47 different people giving you conflicting information, and a lot of it's really dangerous information.
well, and they don't really allow medical information on there, like medical
Yeah.
advice
So in
on the
mom's
minute. The
Yeah, the
managing
moms
group.
managing groups, they do not allow medical advice. They will tell you, like, this is what the AAP or the CDC recommends.
And they'll
They'll,
allow you to put links to articles and stuff.
yeah, you can,
And
provide research, you can provide your opinion, but they don't want you providing medical advice.
right. Like you can provide your experience. Like, did you have a similar experience? Yes, and this happened. But for instance, like, um, I hemorrhaged after my baby. We talked about that in the last show or one of the shows. I did not get medical treatment because I was pissed at my doctor. That is my experience. I do not recommend that for anybody.
Well,
You know,
and
like it was
somebody,
stupid. It was a stupid thing to do.
it was kind of a while ago, and it was an anonymous post, so I don't even know who it was if I wanted to tell people who it was. But she had asked for people's experience with Cytotec because she was unfortunately experiencing a loss, and they gave her, or were going to give her Cytotec to induce contractions so that she could pass the baby. And she was asking experiences, not medical advice though. So I gave, granted, I did not have Cytotec because I had a miscarriage. I had Cytotec because I had a hemorrhage. But I just basically gave her my experience. Hey, this is what happened. This is how I felt. These are not all the symptoms, and you may not experience any of them. But I think that's a lot different than trying to give people medical advice.
Yeah, you should do this or that. What you should talk to your medical team is what you should do.
Yeah. So, into dumb shit on the internet. So, as we were getting ready to record this, I found the Reddit page Shit Mom Groups Say. So, I'm going to pull up some of these. There was a lady who posted, hey, what deodorant are we starting our boys off on? He's 7 and I think it's time. And somebody put, change his diet. The smell is toxins. I'm 36 and don't use deodorant. 7 is too young. They should only need soap and water. If he never ate junk food, he wouldn't smell. It's just toxins that make him stink.
Okay, like I don't eat junk food, and I assure you, I get sweaty ass crap. You know what I mean? Like, I
It
assure
reminds
you.
me of, was it at the Supernatural convention where they were
Yes.
talking about Misha's on the crystals again?
Yeah, because Misha, what the hell is his last name?
Collins.
So Misha Collins apparently is like kind of a hippie dude or whatever, and so he will This is not my story. This is like what
Jensen Ackles
Jensen
and Jared
Ackles
Padalecki
and
were
Jared
talking about.
Padalecki were talking about. I think it was Jared Padalecki. He's hilarious, actually.
Yeah.
But he was like, yeah, and then we always know because he'll use crystals instead of deodorant when he's like going through his hippie phase or whatever. And he's like, yeah, we'll be like, oh, Misha's on the crystals again. Dude, you need deodorant. Like, just because you can't smell yourself does not mean others can't smell you.
Yeah, and I think, so, there is something to be said. The smell on your skin when you sweat does not inherently have a smell. The smell is bacteria on your skin.
Right.
That being
Which
said,
everybody has, whether you eat junk food or not.
the healthiest, cleanest people in the whole world will still have bacteria on their skin. So, you can't get away from it. Now, I get the people who are like, try Lumi or what's the other one? There's so many like natural deodorants now. If you want to try like a natural one, if you're like a fruit about aluminum.
Hippy dippy trippy, yeah.
But honestly, like, I'm sweaty and I got hormone issues and it stinks and I need the clinical strength, all the chemicals.
Right.
And maybe I'll
here's
die of cancer from that someday, but I don't think there's good evidence to support it.
I was
from what I've
never
seen.
like a super sweaty person or whatever, but like it's still evident if I don't wear deodorant. Like after a while. Ugh. Yeah, just and you know what, if you're not into deodorant, like at least some sweat absorbing something.
Well, and so a lot of what I see in these mom groups that are like the stigma, the like stereotype mom groups, it's a medical advice thing or it's the buzzwords, it's the toxins, it needs to be natural.
Yeah, the toxins. You know there's toxins in natural food, right?
Yeah, so the whole toxin thing gets me because our body has a great way to filter toxins. It's called a liver.
And it's not
Like,
just your liver. Did you know your gallbladder too?
yeah, like your body has built-in functions to remove toxins, and yes, there are some things your body cannot filter, and those are things that can become a problem. Like vitamin A can be toxic. That's why you're not supposed to eat liver when you're pregnant, because you can have an increase in vitamin A that can cause problems.
Well,
Um,
here's the thing, like about, I will say I am a big um, believer in eating healthy food, only because I am 53 years old and my health is like amazing. Like my numbers are amazing, and it's because I eat healthy. But a lot of people think, because a lot of people get their gallbladder removed, and
mhm.
most of the time, so the reason people end up getting their gallbladder removed is usually because of crappy diet. And people think that gallbladders are not important, but they actually really are. So what happens, like when people get gallstones? I know this is like I went on a tangent, but I think people need to hear
No,
this.
I was laughing about another thing about toxins as I was scrolling to find another post to talk about.
So the gallstones that people get, they're made in the gallbladder. So if they take the gallbladder out, you won't have those anymore. And if you get too many gallstones, it literally can kill you. So they have to remove the gallbladder. But the reason that happens usually is because of basically cholesterol.
Hmm.
Like it gets saturated and it causes that, but it could also be calcium and stuff like that that does it. But gallbladders are important because what gallbladders do is they control the bile
Hmm.
to remove the waste from your body, and so your gallbladder hugely protects your liver. So when you have to live the rest of your life without a gallbladder, it can affect your liver. And I do know several people who have had their gallbladder removed that ultimately started having some liver function issues. So protect that gallbladder. I'm not saying never eat junk food, but there is something to be said for eating healthy just because you want to preserve these organs because they have a vital part in keeping you healthy. There's my
So,
health rant. Sorry.
no, it's okay. I'm about to go on another one. So, the next post, again, about toxins. Tell me about Crocs. I know they're made of plastic, so I'm sure there's tons of chemicals. They are legit the only shoes my kids will wear. So, how do we detox daily to keep the toxins down? Because Crocs are plastic. So, here's what
Oh
I'll
my.
say on that. There are concerns about the whole microplastic thing. We There are not good studies on the effects of microplastics. And I don't know that there ever really will be good studies because there's no way to get a control group. Because even in remote areas of the world where they do not use any plastic, they are finding microplastics in people's brains. So it is a problem. I'm not saying it's not a problem. I'm not saying we shouldn't be concerned. What I am saying is you can limit your exposure as much as you want, but no amount of limiting your exposure is going to stop it at this point. It's gotten to
It's
a
just,
point like people who have no regular exposure to plastic have plastic in their bodies. So
yeah, it's a problem.
I hate to be a doomsayer, but there's nothing you can really do. So
Yeah, so
I've
just put the Crocs on the baby. It's
right.
fine.
If your baby wears Crocs, your baby wears Crocs. It's gonna be okay. And I mean, for how many generations did, well, I guess not generations, years. It was like 3 generations of plastic baby bottles, you know? So, I mean, tons of people use plastic baby bottles. How many people drank a plastic water bottle? For God's sake, we drank out of the hose at a trailer park where we regularly had like boil warnings on the water.
I mean, and I grew up with the generation that everybody drank out of a hose because your mom didn't let you back in the house. You
Right.
know what I mean? Like I know that is like unfathomable to the younger generations, but there was a time when mom was like, "Go outside and play." She was not going to let you in again until lunch, so we all drank out of a hose because it was hot. We were thirsty.
Yeah, and I'm not saying just because it's in everything doesn't mean it's not a concern. I just mean that there's not that much you can do about it, so I think the Crocs would be the least of my worries.
Well, if you want to detox daily, I mean, like people want to do some kind of crazy detox. I mean, all that is really is eating good food. You
Yeah,
know, eat
eat.
good food, drink plenty of water. That kind of thing will keep you detox. Your body will actually detox if you keep it working well. So that's a good reason So wear the deodorant no matter how healthy you eat, because you might not need it, but everybody around you does need you to do that. But try to eat healthy foods, particularly um, like your broccoli, cauliflower, kale, things of that nature, because those are like really good foods for naturally detoxing.
Yeah.
If you don't believe me, you can look it up
Ooh,
because I don't have the science in front of me.
is there such a thing as scared straight or military school for a 4-year-old? What?
I think there probably should be some sort of military school for the mom who can't control her 4-year-old.
Yeah, she swears, hits people, steals, does whatever she wants. Nothing scares her. I've tried everything, and she brushes it off. I'm
Mm.
exhausted. I want nothing to do with her, and that breaks my heart.
It doesn't break her heart, because if it broke her heart, she would get in there and try still. Because I had a very, 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 very difficult child, and I never, ever, ever gave up on her.
Well,
Never.
and there are going to be difficult children. There are going to be some people. I mean, Jeffrey Dahmer had a mom. Do you think she thought she raised him that way? I doubt it. Like, there are going to be things you can't stop. You cannot control every action of your child. However, every child is feral. They do not start out civilized beings. They know that they have needs, they have wants, and they want them now. They do not have patience. They do not understand delayed gratification. You have to teach that
That
to
part
them.
of their brain isn't developed.
Right. And I mean,
That's
it
just
starts
science.
with consistency. You have to be consistent from day one. And I know we've gotten compliments just recently about how well behaved our 2-year-old is when we go out. I'm like, I mean, we're consistent with him. We also understand he's 2, so our time for him to behave well is very limited. Because at some point, he's only 2. He doesn't, like, he's learning. He's still learning, but he doesn't totally know how to behave, and he doesn't understand time or, why things take so long. So,
Well, and I mean, and you have to remember that these are children, and they you have to teach them. They're not bad children. I don't like that when people say they're bad children. They might be difficult children, they might be challenging children. A lot of your challenging children are kids that have a very strong will, which in the future, if that is channeled correctly and you teach them to control themselves, that can be a very good quality in an adult, you know. You also have smart kids. Smart kids, people think having a smart kid is easy. It is not easy to have a smart kid. Like, very intelligent children get bored
they get
and they
bored.
do the dumbest shit
Yes.
that
Like,
will mess your house up.
well, and that's like we talked about, because I think you said in one of the episodes, you don't really baby proof anything.
No.
I've baby proofed things I would have never thought to baby proof. I cannot have knobs on my cabinets because my kid is kind of smart. He gets bored, he unscrews the knobs, and I'm worried he's going to choke on them. Like,
Yeah, so I still have a knob missing on my antique dresser because I can't find it because Henry was over here.
yeah, so smart kids are not necessarily easier. Yes, they're smart for their age. They're still kids, they're still impulsive, they're still going to do the dumbest things.
Yes.
So,
And you don't want them. So, like, if you have a strong-willed kid, it's not necessarily that you want to break their will. No, it's a good quality, but it's teaching them when is the time to listen and when is the time to dig your heels in. That's your job. Like, your job is not to be their friend. I'm sorry, my friends. That's not your job. It isn't. They will be your friends eventually. They grow up and then you can have that kind of relationship with them, but not when they're little. When they're little, you have to be the authority. Like, they have to look to you as the person who knows what's going on, who knows what is supposed to be done, what's not supposed to be done, And the other thing I would add is routine and consistency. Kids really do thrive when they know what their day is going to look like. Would you agree or no?
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
absolutely.
Like nap time is the same. This, you know what I mean? Whatever it is, and nothing's ever the same all the time. But like routines, like when I think kids get very anxious and don't know how to express it when when they don't know what to expect. You know, like something's thrown on them that they weren't expecting. It like messes up a whole day, and you know that because if you have little kids, you know that like you had to interrupt their nap time to go to a family party or something, and then it takes like 2 days to get them like back settled down to their normal routine. So that's,
Well, and
kids thrive.
we just did that on Sunday. We had the church picnic, and it was at 1. Both of my kids take a
Mhm.
nap about 1 to 2 o'clock in the afternoonish, so neither one got a nap. And this is what we're dealing with now.
Hi,
So
baby. She's cute though.
she's cute, she's grumpy.
She's a
Um,
grumpy butt.
I was trying to see if I could find some more ridiculous ones. Wow. Okay. My mother called DCFS on me because my fiance told her not to post our baby on her OnlyFans.
What? Oh God.
Yeah. So I know OnlyFans gets a stigma for being for adult content. It is not only for adult content. You can post
I
whatever
don't.
you want.
Yeah, but they still shouldn't have put her grandchild on there without the permission.
Exactly. So, boundaries, you need to, respect other people's boundaries. They need to respect yours. Um, to an extent. I mean, obviously, there are some things that are just ridiculous, but uh,
But I think that like your generation needs to have a little bit of compassion for the generation before them because we're different.
absolutely, I think there needs to be a
We
little
were
bit of
raised
compassion.
differently. So
I
I think you need to like not go crazy, but like for the ladies of my generation, come on, man.
like
You know
you
you
can
can't post somebody's picture without their parents' permission.
you can enforce a boundary and still understand sometimes somebody might screw up, and it's not a malicious thing.
Right. If somebody like from my generation steps on your toes and their intent wasn't bad, I think you can forgive them. Like have a talk with them. You don't have to be like, "Oh, I'm not never speaking to you again." But for the like my generation, come on, ladies, like if you already raised your children, so you gotta, you know, respect that your child is now the parent of these other people that you love. They're your grandchildren, not your children. And I know that's hard because I'm in it.
And I think last of the social media crazies is just all the shit I just saw about free births. And if
I
you
can't with the
watched
free birth.
the
I
previous
can't with the
episode,
free birth.
all about free births, we do not, we're
We
not
don't support
fans.
that. We're not. Yeah.
Assisted home birth, you do you. But have someone who knows what the hell they're doing and quit giving birth in gross places.
Yeah, and don't
Like
go squat by a tree. Like what the hell?
rivers, oceans, pigsties, places you probably don't want to put a brand new baby with no friggin' immune system.
Or like your cervix opens, so your uterus is
Yeah, that
not
just.
protected. It's just not protected.
You know what costs a lot more than a hospital birth? ICU treatment for sepsis. Because
Just
if you go septic, you're going to be in the hospital. You're going to pay that money. You're still going to have to deal with doctors. Sorry,
I
that's
just
the facts. Or you don't, and then you die. Because without medical treatment, sepsis is fatal.
and just remember this, like when you're scrolling through social media and stuff like that, just remember, don't get caught up in it. Remember, and here's what I want to say, especially about the marriage thing. Your attitude has a lot to do with it. I know I'm always beating the drum, but God, I can't believe all these women blowing their shit up.
Well,
And
and we're
it's
going to
so
do a whole episode on vows.
vows.
So
Yeah, I got a bone to pick.
I got a big bone to pick.
But The best thing, and this I am not crapping on single moms at all, but if you are married, the single best thing you can do for your child is to have a solid, grounded marriage. For a lot of reasons. One, it is just easier to raise a child if you have backup, number one. Number two, your kid is going to grow up. Your kid is going to leave you. You are still going to be with your husband if you respect your vows. So you might want to work on that one. But it also shows children conflict resolution, how to work things out, how to work as a team. I mean, there's so much that a married couple can teach these children through example that they can't get if that's not happening, and I think that's a good thing. And so if you're not happy, don't blow your family up because you're not happy for a few days. Don't do that. It's not good for your kids. I'm not saying stay in a horrible marriage that's abusive for your kids. That's not what I'm saying. So don't write in about that. But you know what I'm talking about. If you're bored, get a hobby. Don't get a divorce. It's really expensive.
So, ending off, one last note about social media. You should share this video with all of your friends.
Yeah, because we're right.
We're right. We're right, and we're not experts really on anything.
We're not experts on
literally
anything.
Our opinions. Honestly, if you disagree with us, let us know. I'd like to hear why.
Yeah, okay.
I'm down with it. We'll talk about it on the show. You probably won't change our opinion because we're pretty stubborn people, but maybe.
I've changed my opinion on some things once in a while.
I have too. I'm not saying you can't change our opinions, but, if there's a reason you disagree with something we've said, tell us, drop a comment. We do read them.
We're not even going to get pissed about it because we don't, we don't get bunched up about much because,
we're not easily offended. So,
not at all.
Share the show, subscribe.
Like it.
Right. And don't repeat what mommy says.
Because she's not appropriate. Oh, no.